Let's consult the dictionary yet again, an electronic dictionary. There is a stable sort of pattern in the support that this partner is providing her. Hashtag Pebblegate 2022. Where did this pebble come from? To live a life like Taylor lives, someone wanting nothing from you is sweet. It's scrumptious, it's delicious, it's wonderful. I think she's like the most intentional songwriter, like literally ever. So beautiful. That's a thesis statement for this song. I feel like my toxic trait for every new Taylor Swift analysis I do is going to be me starting the video like, it's me. Hi. I don't know why I did a peace sign. I have not done a peace sign since like 2008. Hi everyone and welcome to this video. On my channel, I analyze song lyrics very in depth through the lens of literary analysis. Midnights has dropped, so right now we're doing a lot of Midnight analyses, so make sure to subscribe if you're a Swiftie and share with your fellow Swifties. I analyze quite a lot of Taylor Swift on this channel. I think we're up to about 30 plus analyses so far, so I will make sure to link my Taylor Swift analysis playlist below for you. We're almost done with all the folklore songs. We're making good headway on Evermore. I've also touched upon her other albums as well. Now I'm excited that Midnights is going to be in the mix too. After I'm done with all the songs, I will be doing album summaries and other fun things as well, so make sure to stay tuned. Here's a list of literary terms I may refer to throughout this video, and as always, everything I state is just my own personal opinion. Music is subjective, and I always love hearing your take down below in the comments. In this video, we're going to be analyzing the song Sweet Nothing by Taylor Swift from her album Midnights. I just realized I should have worn this top for Lavender Haze because this is like the only lavender-ish top I have, so we'll see. I may outfit repeat this again for my Lavender Haze analysis. We love a good Lizzie McGuire moment. I find the song to be so cute and so beautiful and so meaningful. It's one that I go back to really often on this album. I don't have a favorite yet. It changes like every few hours. I'll keep you posted on that, but I love this song so much. It has a special place in my heart the same way that Delicate has a special place in my heart. I find it quite intimate and emotional, which are things that I enjoy in my music. Let's start with discussing the song title. So usually the phrase sweet nothings does not have the most positive connotation, and by that I mean it usually does not have the most truthful connotation. When you look up sweet nothings, it refers to words of affection exchanged by lovers. It's kind of like pillow talk. Usually the term sweet nothings is used to describe things that are sweet. They are very pleasant, but they usually lack value. However, in the context of this song, for me, Sweet Nothings has a lot of substance. I think that the usual way Sweet Nothings is thought of is meant to be juxtaposed with the protagonist, perhaps Taylor, but we don't know, with the protagonist's very stressful go, go, go sort of life. When you have a busy, busy life to the caliber that this protagonist may have, I think you would want something more subdued at home in your own romantic relationship. To me, in this song, Sweet Nothings is not just pillow talk. It's something sweet, so something pleasant, something cute, something all cozy, but it's also something that is nothing in relation to what the protagonist must deal with in their day-to-day life. I do view it as still being something of substance and something that's true and pure. I would love to know your take on the song title, so make sure to comment it down below. I also want to point out something I believe is really significant. The title of this song is Sweet Nothing. It's singular, not plural. The plural version of this phrase, sweet nothings, with an S, is the common phrase. To me, it's significant that the singular version of this phrase is the song title. It's like a singular sweet nothing. It makes me view the sweet nothing as a solid, stable entity of sorts. It gives a stronger foundation to it, in my opinion. I just want to make sure I pointed that out. Verse 1. The beginning of this verse to me connotes a feeling of innocence. It's a little bit childlike because of the phrasing of the lyrics. It says, I spy with my little tired eye, tiny as a firefly, ... There's a game called I Spy. You usually play it when you're younger. You're like, I spy with my little eye, something red. And then the child must guess what you were looking at that's red. That's why I get a feeling of innocence with the beginning of this verse. And along with innocence, for me, comes a feeling of purity. So to me, this is already off to a cute and pretty positive start. There's a qualifier here though. In the game I Spy, you usually do not use the word tired. So the fact that this is referring to I Spy, a children's game, sets up this song in a way that feels cozy to me. Then the word tired is interesting as well. It makes me think that the protagonist is in a tired state. Logical conclusion. Sometimes when you're in a tired state, you are more emotional and you tend to reflect and introspect on things. And oftentimes you are tired when it's late at night, perhaps at midnight. The protagonist is tired, they're in their feels, but but not in a bad way this time. Thank goodness. Tiny is a firefly, a pebble that we picked up last July. Even though the protagonist's eyes are tired, she has 20/20 vision, she got the banana she wanted, she notices a pebble that's the size of a firefly. I'm going to extrapolate out the firefly lyric here a little bit and say this could be light imagery. Light imagery is usually positive. It can illuminate things for you, bring you clarity. It can signify a renewal of some sort. Light imagery usually gives off positive vibes. A pebble is usually dark and it's being described using something that lights up. Fireflies are visible during the night, so they are in fact a light during the darkness. And fireflies are an insect. They're alive. They move around a lot. That's lively energy. So to me, this is a positive image in reference to a firefly. And I like that the pebble, something that's stationary, that you could view more as stagnant if you wanted to, is represented using something that's the opposite of that. So I find all the diction, all the imagery here to be quite positive and again, just really cute. So this pebble is a pebble that the protagonist and I'm assuming their romantic partner found and brought back home with them while they were in Wicklow last July. They were vacationing for the summer. Wicklow is a town in Ireland. I did not know that. I had to Google it. It's interesting because I think the protagonist is saying she sees the pebble down deep inside the pocket of her partner. So does she have like X-ray vision? Is she like a literal hero now? Like superhero vibes? She could just be looking through some things and she found a piece of clothing. She noticed some things in the pocket and she found it again. That's definitely possible. Or this could also just be referring to maybe when they got back from their trip, they almost forgot they brought the pebble with them. The pebble is like a memento of their memories there. And they almost like washed the pants maybe and they're like, OMG, the pebble is there. And they took it out and they placed it somewhere that the protagonist is viewing now. I don't necessarily think the logistics of how the protagonist is viewing the pebble and like the pebble's backstory is the most important thing, but we can explore that further in the comments if you wish. Hashtag Pebblegate 2022. Where did this pebble come from? I enjoy that this pebble is kind of personified in a way. Personification is when human qualities are given to an inanimate object. The pebble here is given the quality of having feelings, right? The protagonist is wondering, does it ever miss Wicklow sometimes? Does it ever miss its home? Oftentimes in instances like this, the protagonist or the person's own emotions are put onto this inanimate object because it creates a distance. It may be difficult for the protagonist to say, for example, oh, I miss my home. And it may be easier to say, oh, I wonder if this pebble misses its home. They're still expressing their emotion and their thought, but they're creating distance with it through the use of personification. Don't you love literary devices? I find that quite endearing and quite cute. It also brings in more innocence and therefore more of a feeling of purity to me, which I enjoy. And the fact that it says we almost forgot it makes the pebble seem more significant, like it's fated to be at home where the protagonist is. I think maybe the pebble is allowing the protagonist to relive a memory, and with that memory comes certain emotions. I think this is occurring on one of the midnights where Taylor, or the protagonist, was feeling more reflective and perhaps a little nostalgic as well. Chorus. They said the end is coming, everyone's up to something. I don't know exactly what end is being referred to. It could be referring to a hyperbolic, sensationalist news thing, or it could be referring to something very serious as well. I think you can interpret that in either way. But what I do think is important to note from that lyric is a sense of urgency. An ambiguous they, society, the world, is saying that the end is coming. Everyone's up to something. I get a feeling of chaos from those two lyrics. It's kind of like everyone's like, OMG, OMG. Everyone's like freaking out. There's a feeling of anxiety that comes with those two lines. There's a lot of chaotic movement within the world, and the protagonist is noticing this. When it says everyone's up to something, everyone's doing something. They could be up to no good, right? But it could also just refer to the busyness of people's lives. If everyone believes the end is coming, there's more chaotic energy and people are doing more chaotic things. For me, that's how I'm thinking about those two lyrics. I found myself running home to your sweet nothings. So the protagonist is running, which is a very active thing to do. She's getting in her cardio, good for her. However, you can think about running as a little bit chaotic if you want to like think about it in terms of the first two lines. For me, running brings forth a feeling of urgency and also a feeling of escape. The protagonist wants to escape the chaos in the external world and run into her sanctuary, her safe space. She's running home to her sweet nothings. She could be going to her literal home or to the home she perhaps shares with her partner, or she could be running to meet up with her partner anywhere he is. Even if he's at the coffee shop, that could be home to her. Home is wherever you are. right? There's of course different ways to interpret what sweet nothings mean in this song. For me, I think about sweet nothings as anything that happens when the protagonist spends time with her partner. It's the conversation, it's the emotions, it's the way they look at each other. I think it's just the vibe, the energy. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in just a second when we get to the humming lyric, but when you're with someone who is like your soulmate, someone who's a perfect match for you, the energy around both of you is very calm, very balanced, and it feels very safe. And to me, that's what Sweet Nothings is referring to. It's an emotion, it's a state of mind. To me, it's a very abstract thing. You can also think about it as specific things, maybe as inside jokes between them, as like flirtatious glances between them. There's a lot of different ways you can think about it. And for me, I really enjoy the casual nature of the phrase sweet nothings. To me, it's casual if you don't think about it in relation to its actual definition as like pillow talk, as things that don't really have value. If you just extrapolate the words out and look at their connotations, to me, you can interpret it as something that's effortless, something that flows easily. Within a relationship, don't you want things to flow easily? I think that there is a certain type of flow that is very easy and, again, I'm going to say this word, very balanced, present in this relationship. There's a lot of different ways you can think about it, and I really, really want to know how you think about sweet nothings, so feel free to share that down below. Outside, they're push and shoving. You're in the kitchen humming. That's so cute. Again, we have juxtaposition. We have a lot of juxtaposition throughout this song. Here's another instance of it where we have the chaos of the outside world. It's getting to be a little disorderly. People are pushing and shoving, which is not nice. Also, literally very dangerous. If people are pushing and shoving, there's chaotic urgency. Manners are flying out the door. You can also think about the push and shoving as more metaphorical. People are pushing and shoving emotionally. You know what I mean? Like, it could be more of an emotional thing. People are mean. Everyone's in a bad mood. No one is super pleasant. That's juxtaposed with the protagonist's partner being in the kitchen humming. They're in the kitchen, which to me brings forth cozy vibes, and they're humming, right? So they could be washing the dishes, humming, kind of picture them chopping something. Bonus points if they're baking something and humming. I equate humming with being in a state of ease. You're not like anxious about anything. You're not like, OMG, what's happening? You're really present in the moment. Your body is at ease. Your body is in a peaceful, healthy, and balanced state. That's what I think about when I read that lyric. You're in the kitchen humming is a very simple lyric, but it brings forth a feeling of warmth to me, which I really enjoy. It also suggests to me that there is no other noises in the kitchen. They're not listening to a podcast, they're not listening to music. Those things are fine to do. I listen to music a lot of times when I'm doing things, but get the sense that it's quiet and then the person is humming. And I think it's so rare, especially in this day and age, for there to be silence that is comfortable. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us just really want to fill the silence with noise or with productivity, right? You always want to listen to a podcast. You always want to do that, do this, maybe take an extra work call or something. But to me, that's not the case here. This home is very much a safe space where there is comfort. I really do think that places have energies, and I think that the home the protagonist shares with their partner is one that is full of peace, full of love, and just full of balance. It's a very healthy, balanced sort of state, and I think that's very beautiful. All that you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing. I think this is so interesting for the protagonist, and I am thinking about this in terms of Taylor's life. However, we don't know if it's 100% autobiographical or not, so I do want to state that. But Taylor's life is very busy, right? She has things planned way, way, way in advance. She actually mentioned this in her documentary, Miss Americana, and I would assume that can get kind of chaotic from time to time, right? There is lots of moving parts, and everything's dependent on her. Lots of people are hired to work for her, so she's the one that has to make sure she's there, make sure she's doing things on time, because a lot of people are depending on her for their livelihood. So that sounds like a very high pressure situation, right? I would assume that throughout her day that people want things from her for work, like asking her questions, asking her to sign up on things, but also more socially. When you're in the position that Taylor is in, I would assume that it can get hard sometimes because you don't know if people are trying to get close to you because they genuinely like you as a friend, or if they have a hidden agenda, if they want something from you. But this love interest, all that they ever wanted from this protagonist was nothing. To live a life like Taylor lives, someone wanting nothing from you is sweet. It's scrumptious, it's delicious, it's wonderful, it's pleasant, because most other people do want something from her. It's kind of like if you're in a chaotic, loud work environment, and then when you come home, you may think to yourself, the silence here is so sweet, right? Verse 2. I I interrupt this video with a very special message from myself. This is sponsored by me. I want to let you guys know that I'm offering services on the website Fiverr. I'm offering a few different things. I can help you refine your own analysis skills to develop your own unique perspective about poetry, about song lyrics, about any written work. I've also been getting a lot of messages from you guys letting me know that you use my videos to help you learn English. So if you need an English conversation partner, I'm your girl. You can converse through the internet. I can help you with pronunciation, sentence structure, and random things about American culture that are not super intuitive. If you're a songwriter or a poet and want me to read your original piece of work and provide you with a very detail-oriented feedback, I can do that as well. All that information is going to be linked down below. If you have any questions about any of the services I'm offering, please message me directly through the website Fiverr. Back to the video that you actually clicked here for. On the way home, I wrote a poem. You say, what a mind. This happens all the time. You can look at this like her, hyping herself up. The protagonist is like, my partner hypes me up, hashtag yay. And that's a valid way to interpret it. I think that's cute. For me, the way I interpret it and what resonates with me personally is that the partner here is supportive of the protagonist. They respect what the protagonist does. They don't belittle it. When they say what a mind, it's complimenting their mind, it's complementing their creative process, which is something that's important in a relationship. You want the person to respect all parts of you, you know what I mean? The fact that the protagonist is saying this happens all the time, I personally don't take that as a protagonist bragging about this. I take that as a protagonist saying that there is a stable sort of pattern in the support that this partner is providing her. They always hype her up. They always support what she says. They do so in a very beautiful way. They're complimenting her creative mind, her thoughts, her emotions, and the way she puts her thoughts and emotions together to create art. So to me, this is showcasing like a consistent sort of support for the protagonist. And as a reminder, I'm not telling you that this is how you should be viewing the song. This is simply what resonates with me. My videos are just meant to start conversations and allow for exploration. As always, I would love to hear your take, whether you agree with me or not, down below in the comments. Chorus number 2. The second chorus is like the first chorus, except for one lyric, which is the most important lyric in this whole song to me, or maybe the second most important lyric. We'll get there. The only lyric that's different now is the last line here. It says, all that you ever wanted from me was nothing. I find that so beautiful. So beautiful. That's a thesis statement for this song. This love interest didn't want anything from the protagonist. They just wanted her. They didn't want job opportunities. They didn't want to get into the exclusive clubs or exclusive events. They didn't want to be introduced to anyone else. They just wanted her. Whenever I hear that part in the song, I don't know. I get in my feels and I have an emotional freak out, especially the way that Taylor sings it. Bridge. Industry disruptors and soul deconstructors. So industry disruptors is actually like a term. I looked it up for you. Here's what it means. So disruptors are companies that have the potential to alter existing business models. Industry disruption means changing the rules of competition in an industry by doing things differently. So that's what industry disruptors mean. Let's talk about soul deconstructors and then we'll put it together. First of all, let's talk about a soul. I talk about a soul a lot on this channel. I talked about it in the song Coney Island by Taylor Swift and also in Ivy by Taylor Swift. I will link all those down below for you. I view the soul as very important. I enjoy existential vibes. In Coney Island, there's a lyric where it talks about breaking the soul in two, and I was like, to me, that's not possible because the soul is like energy and you can't break it. It's kind of like a material that's attracted to one another. It can be like slime, existential slime with cute sparkles maybe, that is just like this, but it can't be broken. I think a heart can break, but I don't think a soul can break. Again, I talked more about that in my Coney Island analysis. However, here it's a similar thing. It says a soul deconstructor. When you look up the word deconstruct, it means to break something down into its separate parts in order to understand its meaning, especially when this is different from how it was previously understood. To me, you cannot deconstruct a soul. You just can't. A soul is its own entity, and I kind of view it like the organs in the body. The organs in the body have a synergistic effect, meaning that the sum, the whole body, is greater than the parts. You know what I mean? Like they may work separately, but they need to all work together for anything to actually exist. That's how I view the soul. You can't like break it down into parts and be like, this is this part, that's that part. A soul just simply exists, right? Deconstruction is kind of what we do on this channel, right? It's analysis. You take something big and you break it down into smaller parts. You study the smaller parts and then at the end you put it back together. To me, doing that to a soul is invasive and inhumane to the soul. And to me, it's like a dehumanizing thing as well to the soul. If we were to personify the soul, it would be dehumanizing. To me, that's a big no-no. You can't do that. So industry disruptors is referring to the protagonist's work life. There's people that are coming in, trying to change the game. It's an ever-changing landscape. Soul deconstructors may refer to the people that the protagonist comes across at work. It may refer to the tabloids, to the press. It may refer to people in the protagonist's personal life. The soul deconstructors are the soul-sucking people. And I wanted to break down this phrase for you because to me personally, since I view the soul in that manner with such high regard, to me this is like a very heavy sort of phrase. I think the intent here was for it to have a negative connotation. Like I think this is in line with what was intended in the song from my perspective. However, since I view the soul the way that I do, I take this even more seriously and more intensely. So the first line is talking about things that are not chill for the protagonist, right? Things that can bother the protagonist both at a business level but also in a more existential way. So it could be dealing with identity as well. And smooth talking hucksters out glad-handing each other. Let's consult the dictionary yet again, an electronic dictionary. A huckster is a person who sells or advertises something in an aggressive, dishonest manner. They serve biased interests and they use pushy or showy tactics. Glad-handing means being very friendly to people you have not met before as a way of trying to get an advantage. These are not the most positive traits, right? These words have connotations of dishonesty and people playing games. The phrase smooth talking also brings forth a feeling of dishonesty. If someone's a smooth talker, they know exactly what to say and when to say it. They know what to say to get what they want out of you. And they're not only glad-handing, they're out glad-handing each other. It's like a competition. It's like fake diplomacy, fake diplomacy, fake diplomacy all on top of one another. Nothing is true, nothing is real. People are just lying and trying to sell things and make money, right? Not a pure space at all, not a place of high morals either. This often exists in business. And the voices that implore, you should be doing more. Let's also look up the word implore. I think it's going to add some more value to this analysis. Implore means to beg someone earnestly or desperately to do something. Not only is the protagonist dealing with the smooth talking hucksters out glad-handing each other, say that 3 times fast, but they're also dealing with other voices within their life telling her that she should be doing more. These voices could also be the protagonist's self. She could be thinking this to herself, thinking she should be working harder, she should be more productive. Don't take that break, keep working, listen to that podcast. There should be no silence, right? So there's a lot of stress, a lot of chaos, a lot of things that come with work, talked about in the bridge. The diction here really drives the point home of how stressful and heavy this is for the protagonist. Then the last line of the bridge is where I sometimes cry in the song. It says, "To you I can admit that I'm just too soft for all of it." Oh my gosh, I find that so beautiful. I really, really do. I'm not wearing any waterproof makeup, so I'm not going to allow myself to cry on camera right now. But, you know, the protagonist here, and again, I am kind of just assuming this is about Taylor's life. We don't know if it's 100%, so we're just gonna say protagonist. She's dealing with lots of high pressure situations, right? And a lot of us do, most of us do. It takes a lot for someone in a position of like high power to come and admit to you that they're too soft for all of it. This doesn't mean she can't handle it. I think it means that it goes against who she is as a person. Some people can do the things described above. They can be smooth talking hucksters out glad handing each other, and they can sleep easy at night. Like they can be chill with that. And people can deal with those types of people and be chill with it too. But some people are softer, right? They can still deal with those people and be successful, but like at their core, it's not who they are. They would rather not deal with them. It's like some people enjoy verbal confrontation, other people don't. The people that don't maybe can still do it effectively, but it's not something that is a part of who they are. We can also think about this in the context of fame. Some people really do believe they were born to be famous and they like being in the public eye. Like it doesn't really bother them that much. They know how to navigate it naturally. But other people aren't really comfortable being famous. It goes against their true nature. And here the protagonist is admitting to their love, who's humming in the kitchen, that they're just too soft for all of this. They can handle it and they handle it exceptionally well. But at their core, this aspect of the job maybe isn't their favorite. I find this lyric to be so intimate, so pure, and I just really appreciate the truthfulness presented here. I don't care if this is about Taylor or not, just anyone this is about. Whenever someone confesses something like this, it's an act of courage. It's very vulnerable. BRB crying. Then we have the chorus repeated 2 times. The second time it's repeated, it's a little bit different. There's some repetition. So there's repetition of they say the end is coming and everyone's up to something. So it's sung and repeated, sung and repeated. Outside their push and shoving is also repeated. I always say that repetition signifies significance. I do believe that when certain words or phrases are repeated, it's important. It's a songwriter trying to give us a message, especially when it's not the song title and especially when it's an intentional songwriter, which is how I interpret Taylor Swift. I think she's like the most intentional songwriter, like literally ever. To me, the repetition makes everything seem more intense. It brings in more chaotic energy and it increases like the distance between the outside world and the internal world at home within the kitchen humming, increases that contrast and it makes for a stronger juxtaposition. And that's actually the end of the song. This is probably going to be one of my favorites, but again, they're all kind of my favorites depending on the time of day. But I enjoy the intimacy, I enjoy the emotions. My 2 favorite lyrics are All That You Wanted From Me Was Nothing, and of course that I'm too soft for all of it. I really love songs that feel intimate like this, that feel like an anonymous blog post and a diary entry where there's really no filter. And I also enjoy the melody of this song. All of the melodic things on this album are really, really cool and very intricate. I'm not really an expert on how music is crafted, so I can't like comment in a way that I would like to about the melodies and like the instrumentation, but I do love piano a lot. One of my favorite albums is literally the score to Pride and Prejudice 2005, directed by Joe Wright, starring Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadyen as Mr. Darcy. I think I bought it. Like I own the score like on a CD. One of the best purchases I ever made. And there's a lot of piano on that score. It's very, very beautiful. So I personally love the way that her voice blends in melodically with the piano. That to me adds another layer of sweetness to this song. Overall, I think this song is about the protagonist finding something of value in regards to her romantic partner. The nothing that's discussed here is something very sweet. It's something very real, very pure, and it is in fact not nothing. It is for the protagonist everything, a sweet everything. That's all I have for this analysis. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I always enjoy reading them. My services will also be linked down below if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to come back for more Taylor Swift content and more Midnight's analyses, and I'll see you next time. Bye!